Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 8 of Young Justice, Downtime. We begin this episode in Gotham City on August 27th, where we see that the Young Justice team have been overpowered by Clayface. Before Clayface can deliver the finishing blow, Batman arrives, and he's able to subdue Clayface thanks to electrical-based technology. Back at Mount Justice, Batman tells the majority of the Young Justice team to hit the showers and they can head home now because he needs to talk to Aqualad. But when Robin sticks around, Batman clarifies he needs to talk to just Aqualad, but Robin's expression indicates that he's not happy about this. Batman point blank tells Aqualad that Aqualad was the reason why the mission didn't go quite as well as it should have, mentioning that Aqualad's head wasn't completely in the game. Aqualad admits this is the case, saying that while he's dreamed of going to the surface ever since he was a kid, his thoughts are now back home in Atlantis. But Batman questions if Aqualad's thoughts are really for Atlantis or someone who's still in Atlantis. In any case, Batman tells Aqualad that while he can divide his time between the surface and Atlantis, he can't divide his mind between the two places. So he tells Aqualad that he needs to be in on the missions 100%, or it might be better for him to just walk away from the Young Justice team. He gives Aqualad the chance to think it over, but tells him to make his decision quickly. Through Zeta Beam technology, Aqualad later on returns to Atlantis, where he's greeted by Aquaman. Aquaman invites Aqualad to join him at a dinner that he's hosting with his wife, Mira, Aquaman's and his wife, Mira. And he also encourages Aqualad to invite a guest to take part in the dinner as well. And Aqualad graciously accepts the offer. While Aqualad is going through reuniting with some of his friends, like we do see one of them is Lagan, but he talks specifically to Topo, who recounts the story of how Calder became Aqualad. It turns out Calder, with one of his friends, Garth, distracted Ocean Master, who managed to get the better of Aquaman, or he had Aquaman at his mercy at one point. But because of that distraction, Aquaman was able to overpower Ocean Master, so he was able to claim victory for that particular battle. And Aquaman was impressed by Calder and Garth's abilities for what they did during that distraction, so he offered them both the chance to become his protege. In the end, obviously, Calder is the one who accepted the role of Aqualad, while Garth chose to stay in Atlantis. Though after the story is finished, we see that Aqualad is still somewhat distracted, and he goes to find more of his friends. Now, throughout the course of this episode, we do see several scenes that show us what the rest of the Young Justice team are doing while the things in Atlantis are going on. So we'll address these scenes now so we can focus on the Atlantis scenes for the rest of the recap. So Superboy and Miss Martian are just having a normal night at Mount Justice. Miss Martian is planning to make dinner, and Superboy tries to help her, but Miss Martian uses her telekinesis to get all the ingredients, but it's too much for Superboy to hold on to, so it ends up spilling all over him. Robin is still upset about how Batman wanted to talk to just Aqualad, So Batman decides to assure Robin that no one would take his place by playing a game of basketball with him, though he passes it off as hand-eye coordination training. Kid Flash is with his family celebrating the birthday of Jay Garrick, the very first Flash. And as for Artemis, her mother Paula, voiced by Kelly Hu, is excited to find out that in the mail there was a letter that explains that Artemis received a full Wayne scholarship to Gotham Academy, a very prestigious school, even though Artemis never applied for the scholarship. Artemis wants to turn down the offer, though, because she'd rather stay with her friends at her usual school. Paula responds that Artemis better accept the offer or she won't be able to take part on the Young Justice team anymore. Artemis thinks this is just a bluff, though, but then Paula admits that in truth she wants Artemis to accept the offer because it's a chance for Artemis to have a better life, a life that she, Paula, could never have. And Artemis ends up agreeing to accept the offer. Now, as for the scenes in Atlantis, Aqualad reunites with two more of his friends, Garth and Tula, who are in the middle of a sparring match that's being observed by Mira, Aquaman's wife. They're all happy to see Aqualad again, and Aqualad invites Tula as the guest for the dinner, though he says he wishes he could invite Garth as well, but Garth is okay with this. Although when Aqualad leaves, Garth tells Tula that she'll need to tell him something important. That is, tell Aqualad something important. Meanwhile, Aquaman's younger brother, Prince Orm, voiced by Roger Craig Smith, is talking to some scientists who are examining a creature that's in a block of ice. And later on, we do see the dinner where Orm is talking about the creature in ice, and Aquaman and Mira announce that they are expecting an offspring, and everyone, of course, gives them congratulations, even Orm. But then Aquaman receives a message from the Justice League where he's needed for a crisis. So he's about to head off through Zeta Beam technology, but he wants Aqualad to accompany him on the way there before he leaves. Because Aquaman wanted to talk to Aqualad about how he heard about Aqualad's current conflict. But he tells Aqualad that he's confident that he'll make a decision that he feels is best for him. So Aqualad appreciates this, and he wishes Aquaman the best of luck as Aquaman heads off to fight the good fight. But after Aquaman leaves, Black Manta arrives with his Manta troopers. They're planning something. Now, while Aqualad has a moment alone with Tula, he tells Tula that he's decided to stay in Atlantis, and admits that she was a big influence in his decision. But then Tula responds that she and Garth have ended up together during the time when Aqualad was on the surface. But before anything else can come of this, they start to notice that there are attacks happening all over Atlantis. So Aqualad and Tula join Garth, Orm, and Mira in defending Atlantis. One of the Manta troopers intends to attack Garth, but Tula sees this and she intercepts the attack, so she's the one who's been injured. And eventually, they manage to figure out that the Science Center is the only area that isn't being attacked. They realize that the rest of these attacks are a distraction so that they can sneak into the Science Center and steal the creature within the block of ice. So Orm decides to stay with Mira to defend her because she is the Queen of Atlantis and his sister-in-law. And Aqualad ends up heading to the Science Center, telling Garth to tend to Tula's injuries. But Garth ends up joining Aqualad after all, saying that Mira is tending to Tula's injuries. So Aqualad and Garth managed to use stealth to sneak by some of the Manta troopers. They actually managed to jump two of them and steal their costumes. But Black Manta notices Aqualad's equipment, so the jig is up, or the ruse has been exposed. And during their fight, Black Manta seems pretty frustrated that Aqualad's ambitions are serving Aquaman. Eventually, Black Manta gets a cable to hook onto the block of ice so he can get it into his sub. But eventually, Aqualad and Garth are able to fight him off enough, and they manage to break the cable, so the block of ice crashes back onto the bottom, and a limb of the creature breaks out of the ice. Black Manta ends up deciding to destroy the creature in the ice, saying that no one can have it if he can't have it. And after the explosion clears, Black Manta has escaped with his minions. And then we cut to, we jump ahead to September 3rd, where Orm is filling his older brother in on the status report regarding the creature that was in the block of ice. It turns out one of its limbs managed to survive the explosion, and it is regenerating, but but because of the fight that went on in the science center, they are no longer able to study the creature effectively. So Orm suggests that maybe they bring it up to the surface and have the scientists on the surface study the creature. And Aquaman agrees that this is a good idea. Aqualad is preparing to leave Atlantis, but he assures both Garth and Tula that he's happy for the both of them, and he wishes them all the best. Through Zeta Beam technology, Aqualad returns to Mount Justice, and he confirms to Batman that he's in 100%. And Batman says he's just in time because he gives the Young Justice team their latest mission, an abnormality that's happening in the desert of Bialya. Elsewhere, we see Black Manta reporting to the light, saying that he wasn't able to retrieve the creature, so he had to go with Plan B. One of the members, L5, who has a male voice, praises Black Manta for going with Plan B, and that they're still making progress with their objective. That's how we end the episode. So, going by Greg Weisman's statements about how episodes 3 through 8 are spotlight episodes for each member of the Young Justice team, this would be Aqualad's spotlight episode. And we did get to learn quite a bit about Aqualad. Like, we got to learn how he became Aquaman's protege, and we got to meet more of his friends. Garth and Tula were the main focus, but we got to meet Topo, and we did get a brief appearance of Ligan. He's important in Season 2, or at least he plays a bigger role in Season 2 compared to his brief appearance here, so that's another example of them planting the seeds of future events. Now, otherwise, oh, that's right, the beginning of the episode had the team already beaten by Clayface, and are like... And a lot of people, when that episode first aired, were like, what just happened? And this is another example of the tie-in comics filling in the blanks. Because the tie-in comics actually do address how Clayface crossed paths with the Young Justice team and how they ended up in the predicament they did by the beginning of this episode. And we do actually get to learn the origins of Clayface in this universe on Earth 16. So that's another a good detail about the tie-in comics, how they fill in the blanks that don't get answered in the episodes themselves. Otherwise, I did like seeing the breather time for the other Young Justice team members as well. Like, Like, I particularly thought it was nice how Batman and Robin played some basketball, and we do see that Batman was looking out for Artemis, giving her the full scholarship to Gotham Academy. So that was another. Or a lot of people like to refer to this version of Batman. They call him Bat Dad because he acts very fatherly towards the Young Justice team, and yeah, I think that's a fun nickname. And yeah, I do like how this Batman is very fatherly. I think that's really heartwarming. So I appreciated those moments. And otherwise, oh, we did get to see Jay Garrick, the first Flash. And this episode also explicitly clarifies that Barry Allen is Wally's uncle. So yeah, the current Flash is the uncle of Kid Flash. So that's a nice little expanding on the family members of the main characters. So that's a good thing, I felt. And like we said, oh, that's right. Black Manta also arrived in this episode as well. And he shares the same voice artist as Aqualad. And that's not just because of economic reasons, we'll say. And yeah, Black Manta's frustrations at Aqualad serving Aquaman, that's a pretty big hint about something important. Black Manta does return in Season 2, and he plays a really big role in Season 2, actually, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And oh, I did like how they bridged into the next episode, because the next episode does take place in Bialya, which is the location that Batman was telling the Young Justice team about at the end of the episode. So that's another nice way how they have those serialized elements of the series and how they link the episodes together. So there you go. I thought for a spotlight episode for Aqualad, they did do, I felt they did fleshed out Aqualad really well. And I did like how, once again, they're planting the seeds for events that are to come in the future. So there we go. We managed to get a spotlight episode for all the members of the Young Justice team, for the Young Justice team's current members. And the next episode will be another spotlight episode for one of the members. They're going to get a second spotlight episode in the next one. So you'll have that to look forward to. And with that said, we've now discussed episode 8 of Young Justice on this channel. Take care, and until next time.